Today, the name of my message today is Vision and Power. This is a message that the Lord gave me some weeks ago. He said, Tyron, I have some dates back to back. He said, every place you go, I want you to speak this into the ears of my children, because COVID kind of slowed all of us down. A lot of us are fuzzy about what to do next in life. Many of us have lost jobs. We got new jobs. We got a lot of things that's changed. I have friends that moved and relocated during COVID. So everyone is kind of like trying to figure out what is, and I know y'all hate this phrase, I hate it too, what is the new normal? We cut on TV all day long, everyone's saying, what is the new normal? And I kind of get it, even though I don't really care for the phrase itself. We're all just trying to say, okay, God, what next? What should I be? What should I do? Vision and power works this way. First I want to do is I want to give you Oxford's version of these definitions because they're important. Vision is the ability to think about or plan the future, listen to this, guys, with imagination. I'm going to teach on that real strong today. One more time. Vision is the ability to think about or plan the future with imagination. Power is the ability to do something or act in a particular way. One more time for you who are taking notes. Power is the ability to do something or act in a particular way. When you put these two things together, you are a person that has the ability to envision something and through knowledge create it. One more time, I'm going to give you these as foundations. When you put vision and power together, you are now a person that has the ability to envision something and through knowledge create it. What that makes you is now a visionary. The definition of a visionary is a person with original ideals about the future. The thing that I think about, or the person that I think about, and the company that I think about is Tesla. Every time I think about someone who's thinking about the future, Elon Musk is an amazing brain. This man is actually trying to build a rocket and take people into space and then bring them back to Earth. And I'm just like, for a guy to even think like that, you are something else. But God's made all of us creative, hasn't he? Think about this. Walt Disney drew a picture of a mouse on a piece of paper and made that mouse iconic. Didn't he not? Let's test this real quick. Who in here has never had a Mickey Mouse in your house on anything? Raise your hand. We got like 2 hands in this room full of people. A man drew a mouse on a piece of paper and said, I'm going to make this mouse the most important mouse in the world, not just in America, all over the world. That mouse is celebrated. I traveled to remote islands in the Pacific, and there are little kids with Mickey Mouse on their t-shirt. I don't care how poor people are, they have a Mickey Mouse something in this world. And it's amazing that all of that started in his head. He envisioned this. I'm going to take this mouse, and I'm going to change the world with a mouse. Many of my friends work for Disney. One of my friends was a high-up executive at Disney. He gets paid very well. I know one of our pastor friends, his wife works for Disney for many years. She set up the theme park in Japan. And this company employs hundreds of thousands of people all over the world. But all of it started with a piece of paper and a pencil, drawing a mouse. He's a visionary. The most important visionary that I know, and your pastors know as well, is a man by the name of Benit June. Benit June is a friend of ours that pastors in Haiti. This man is amazing. As a man, when I think of the scripture that said that Jesus pulled a basin out in a towel and washed the disciples' feet, he's the only man that I would be willing right away to wash his feet. He is incredible. This boy grew up in the Western Hemisphere, which is the poorest region in the world, Haiti, and was in college in Canada, sees a vision of him building a school in the middle of nowhere. God tells him to leave Canada, where he was educated, go back to his hometown and start on that school. This man rented a 10-by-10 room and had 5 kids enrolled the first semester. I go there every couple of years. He now has over 300 kids in the middle of nowhere. He now has 4 or 5 facilities that educates these kids. For him to stand in the sticks in Haiti and envision schools and pieces of property and children running and playing when he had nothing to inspire him blows me away. So when I'm there, I feel like when I'm walking with him and when we're in my car together, I spoil him. I buy him everything he wants when he comes to America because I reverence him. And when I'm with him, I feel like I'm with Nelson Mandela. But this kid who grew up in Haiti in the sticks had vision. And in my mind, I would think, how much vision would I have if I were born in Haiti? I mean, the hopelessness that's there. I've seen the worst poverty in the world in Haiti. So for him to have vision to build a school and educate children when he had nothing to inspire him, that blows me away. Here's the thing that Benit taught me, and I'm going to get you the scripture in a minute. The most important thing that Benit taught me is that vision comes from an internal value system. See people writing, that's good. Vision comes from an internal value system. Benit, in his mind, feels that he's important to God, so you know what? He's important to God. He feels that he's important to his community, so you know what? He's important to his community. Proverbs says this, 23:7, what a man thinketh in his heart. What is it? What's the rest of it? So is he. So that means everybody in this room right now, you are what you think you are. If you think simple thoughts, you're a simple person. If you think big thoughts, then you have a big heart. If you think like, man, I don't know what I can do, if you always second guessing yourself, then that means your heart is wrong. Something in your heart needs to be retooled. What a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. We all are right now who we believe we are. The story that all of us know very well is the story of David when he went to the line and found out that there was a giant named Goliath, that if you fought this man, you would get great wealth, the king's daughter, and tax-free living. I just wrote a tax check so big I almost passed out a couple weeks ago. Man, tax-free living and all the money in the world and the king's daughter. When David came to that front line and heard about that reward, the Bible said he asked to ask again. He said, what will be given to the man who beat this giant? And they said, what? King's daughter, great wealth, tax-free living. David said, man, that's me all day. I need that, right? This little boy who grew up just like his brothers, same parents, same mother, same father, in the same village with the same landscape every day, in his mind saw himself as being able to take advantage of this opportunity because inside of him, he had an internal value system. The thing that I don't want you to forget today is that imagination is super important to advancement. So David having internal value, he seized this opportunity, and while his brothers looked at Goliath and said, man, he's too big to fight, David said, man, Goliath's too big to miss. If I get some rocks, because you know David's a strategist. In his mind, he's like, I just got to make sure this big guy don't put his hands on me. He get his hands on me, I'm doomed. So how can I be victorious against this giant? How can I fight this man without letting him get close to me? And then because he has imagination that comes from his internal value system, he sees a way to be successful. He imagines himself slinging a rock, hitting Goliath in the head and dropping him. To be able to see that, it comes from an internal value system. We don't talk enough in church about the importance of you all, everyone who got up and put clothes on, you're valuable to God. You mean the world. I don't mean to get graphic in the room today, but millions of sperm cells was released. But you made it. Millions and millions, I mean, sperm cells running everywhere, blah, 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 but you out here, though. And you got to think about that. I'm 1 in a million. But there's not enough of us that feel like we're 1 in a million. We are king's kids. And you got to get up every day and know that I don't care how much money you make, I don't care where you live, I don't care what you drive, you are important to God. And to all of us, we have to have an internal value system. I love the song we just sung, that he saw the victory in his head. It started here because he was a visionary. He was able to envision it because he has internal value. He knew that great wealth should be his. He knew that the king's daughter should be his. Tax-free living. He's like, that should be me. I looked up the word, and I never did this before the other day, the word modesty or modesty. You know that the word modest, it means to have a low view of one's importance. I used to think that modest means a low view of yourself, but no, it's just a low view of your importance, because even Wesley and all those who wrote dictionaries know that all of us are important. Listen to me, guys. But to be too modest will cause us to be shut down in life. There are moments that will present itself to you, and when that moment comes, you will know it's your moment, but whether we step to it or not depends on who we are. Somebody felt that. You got to feel like I deserve that life. I see myself as the giver, not the receiver. I used to be the receiver, but now I see myself as the giver. I love that the Bible says, to the weak, say I'm strong. To the poor, say I'm rich. What he's saying is change your mind before your situation changes. I'm ready to preach now. I'm ready to preach now. Change your mind. See yourself different. Through internal value, vision will be birthed, and then you will move your life to do some extraordinary things. I gotta tell you guys a funny story. When I was a little boy, I was like big little boy. I was like 13 wearing size 10.5 shoes, right? My mom tried to feed me. I feel so bad for her today as I think about how much food I ate at 13. I was always taller than all the other kids. So in my neighborhood, we had 2 full courts. And so we would get the basketball, and me and my group of friends would walk to the courts, every other day to play basketball. And on the big court, the nicest court, the adults played. So these are guys that were like 18 to 35, 36, even some 40-year-olds was out there playing. And then on the other court, kids would play half court, and on this one, the kids would play half court. So the adults was on the big court, kids on the half court, kids on the half court. So I'm 13, but I'm taller than all of the other kids. So I'm out there playing with my friends, having fun. But then from time to time, when an adult would leave off the main court and they were short people and to play, they would come to me because I was the tallest and say, hey, little man, you want to play? And I'd be like, mm-mm. They're like, you don't want to play? Mm-mm. In my mind, I'm like, they too big. I don't want to be out there with them. They're going to embarrass me. I can see myself going up for a shot, and then this guy just coming and go, oh, and smack my shot. And in the hood, when somebody smacks your shot into the crowd, everybody goes, oh, oh. And so in my mind, I'm like, no way am I going on that court play with no adults. I'm 13. I'm still over here with these kids where I dominate like Shaq. Right? I ain't going over there. They would be disappointed in me. They would say, little man, come on and play. I'd be like, mm-mm. One day, one of my friends came to me, Doug, and he says, why don't you ever go play when the adults ask to play? He said, I would love for them to ask me to play. I said, man, I ain't going over there to play with them and they embarrass me out there. What if somebody cross me over and I fall on the floor? What if somebody, I'm out there taking a shot and then the ball just does this, don't even hit the rim? Then, they're going to be like, stupid, why you take that shot? My friend said, why do you think like that? Now, my friend ain't no great leader or nothing. He's just a hood kid like me. But inside of him, my cowardly words did something to his insides. So he spoke to it. He said, why are you thinking like that? I said, man, I just don't. He said, stop, Tyron. He said, you play good. You're tall. Go out there, and this is what he said, and do your best. I didn't go over there. But what I did do is go home, and I couldn't sleep that night. I sat in the bed, and I felt like this is a defining moment. As silly as this is, kid playing basketball, I knew that God was trying to communicate something to me in that moment, because when you can't sleep at night and God is troubling you, it's like because he wants you to get up and address it the next day, right? So in my little heart at 13, I'm staring at the ceiling, and I said, why are you so cowardly? What's the worst that can happen? Even if everyone does ooh and ah, if you get your ball packed out into the audience, here's the thing, you out there playing, they watching. Y'all better listen to me in this church. They watching, I'm playing. And I sat there and I said, let's just think of what we can do. I said, well, number one, don't take dumb shots. Number two, use the backboard. Number three, D up on them. Get in their face and stay on them as best you can. Make them respect you. And I sat there and I rubbed my face and I said, if they ask you tomorrow to play, you go over there and play. And I don't care what happens. But what we're not going to do is sit in the bed and be a coward. So I go out on the court the next day. Me and my friends are balling, and it happened. One dude grabbed his bag. I got to go. They said, hey, little man, you want to play? I threw the ball to my friend. I said, yes. My friends even said, oh. The teams, the little group that was playing over in the little group, they stopped playing like, Tyron about to play with the adults. They put the ball down, and all the kids stood on the side of the court, and they started rooting for me like, come on, man, represent for the kids, bro. And they were all on the sidelines like, Ty, do it. And I was over there working it out, Isaac. I was on there like, stretching them out, bro. I was like, I gotta do this for the hood. The cool thing about that story is I never played with the kids ever again. Every time I went to the courts, I would hug my friends and say, don't be over here fighting and acting stupid, and I would walk over and play with the adults. That moment changed my life. Rising to that small occasion opened me up to broader ideas. So now I'm 22 years old, I own my own business. At 23, I was made chairman deacon of a church that was like fast growing. I'm over men 80 years old, and 25 and 40, I'm 20 in the church. It all started with that basketball game, though, because that's where I built internal value. I had to start seeing myself as important because I'm very quiet. I'm very unassuming in nature. But one of the things I'll tell you about as a businessman, if you're too unassuming, nobody wants to work with you. You got to know how to go in the room and feel like if I'm in the room, God put me here. So don't be shameful and don't be acting like you shouldn't be here. You're here. It all started here. I live a great life. When I was a kid, when I sat in that bed and I thought about a Kindle, I said to myself, if you don't get this out of your heart, you know what? You're going to grow up and marry an ugly girl. Because you're going to see the girl of your dream and you ain't going to have the heart to walk up to her and say, hi, my name is TYRAN. You guys seen my wife. She fine. I had to get over that junk real quick because I started seeing what my life will be if I don't overcome this thought, listen to me guys, of my importance. I got to change that. It changes up here. Y'all ready for the scripture now? Genesis 37. I want to read this for you. You're going to love it. You know the story well, but I want to give you insight. Genesis 37 in verse 3. It says, now Israel loved Joseph more, right, than any of his other sons, because he had been born to him in his old age. And he made a richly ornamented robe for him. Verse 4 says, when his brothers saw that their father loved him more, everybody say more, than any of them, they hated him and could not speak a kind word. Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him all the more. Listen to verse 6. He said to them, listen to this dream I had. We were binding sheaves of grain out in the field when suddenly my sheaves rose up and stood up, and while your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down to it. Now, if I was his brother, I would have punched him in the face right there. I really would have. Verse 8 says, his brother said to him, do you intend to reign over us? Will you actually rule us? And they hated him all the more. I hope y'all keeping that hate tally over. That's a whole lot of hate going on. It said they hated him all the more. I love this, and I have it underlined in my Bible, because of his dream. They hated him because he had a dream, and then at the end of the verse said, and then he spoke his dream. They hated him because he had a dream. Listen to the next verse. Then he had another dream, and he told it to his brothers. Listen, he said, I had another dream. I would have punched him in his face right there too. And this time the sun and the moon and the 11 stars were bowing down to me. Verse 10 says, when he told his father as well as his brothers, his father rebuked him. Fathers, be careful when your kids are speaking vision. Don't rebuke your children. When they speak vision, you encourage them. Even if you in your mind you can't see it, you tell them, yes, you can. You hear me? It says him and said, what is this dream you had? I love this. He said, will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow down to the ground before you? Verse 11 says his brothers were jealous of him. I love this verse right here. It says, but his father kept this matter in his mind. Something about this little boy's words made the father think and say, why do I feel something? Because remember, this is called vision and power. He heard him verbalizing how he's seen himself, and the father says, why do I kind of feel like that could possibly happen? I love it that it got stuck in him. Dad was just like, you know what, this boy just might do that as he grows up. The richly ornamented robe and the special treatment made Joseph a dreamer because the father put in the son value. Doug and I have sons. We talk about our sons all the time. And we got to put value in them so they can believe in themselves, so that when opportunities are presented, they can feel like, yes, and this is my opportunity. So this father felt it, but the brothers didn't. Here's the thing about the brothers that drives me nuts. All you had to do when your brother was saying all these things is go get a dream of your own. But they didn't do that. I want to show y'all how ridiculous this looks in terms of this little boy, because we keep forgetting it's a boy, making these grown men get mad because he's dreaming. Isaac, come up here real quick. Come up real quick. Isaac is my man, right? I love Isaac. So imagine if Isaac came to me and said, hey, pastor, listen, man, I got this dream I had, bro. I got to tell you about it. I had this big old huge office with this big old desk, right? And I was sitting at it. I had a custom suit on. And then I got up from my desk and I walked down the hall and I went to a small cubicle office. And I knocked on the door. And then when I knocked on the door, a voice said, come in. And when I opened the door, you were in the small office working for me. Now look at us. He has every right to dream, and he can even include me in it. Whether I fulfill his dream or not, that depends on me. His dream should not bother me. His dream will only bother me if I don't dream myself. Why would I get mad at Isaac? Would I tell Isaac, just give me a better office then? If it actually happens, pay me better. Obviously, you're not paying me well enough if you saw me in a small office. But why would I get mad at Isaac because he's dreaming? And being his brother, I should encourage him. Here's the thing. I don't have a problem with my own Isaac. Why does that bother them so much? It bothers them because they didn't feel like nothing, Isaac. They didn't feel important, Isaac. They let their father's special treatment say to them, well, I must be nothing, when no one said that. I'm sure that the father and mother loved their kids. Now, the Bible said he loved them more, but he loved them too. But they didn't embrace the love that they got. They wanted the love that they couldn't get, which made them lose focus on their own value system. The thing that I love, the thing I love about Esau and Jacob is this. When Esau finally met with Jacob, Jacob saying, oh, my brother's going to kill me because I stole his birthright. But Esau comes on the scene, and he embraces his brother and kisses him. And the Bible said Jacob was like, whoa, you're giving me love when I robbed you? The Bible said I see this picture in my head because I love my brother so much. The Bible said they embraced and they cried together. And then Jacob was being surprised, thinking his brother was going to kill him. It's probably like, what in the world? And Esau had to explain to him, you stole my birthright, but you ain't steal my life. You stole my birthright, but you didn't steal my success. When his brother tried to compensate from stealing from him and give him a bunch of gifts, he said, I don't even want it. He said, I got plenty of stuff myself. When we leave Esau at the bed of his father, he begged his father, please bless me too. Please lay your hand. Please, Dad, lay your hands on me. And Dad said, hey, I released the blessing already. But what I love about Esau is that he still went out and made a life for himself. Hallelujah. He made a life for himself. He did not let that moment cripple him. He didn't lose vision. His brother stealing from him did not make him shut his life down. To every woman in this room, if you get left by a man, see yourself as going on to find the love you deserve. For everybody here who's been molested by somebody, don't you dare keep marking that molestation as a reason for why you can't grow and find love and have a family and be happy. Don't you let the devil rob you and make you think that these moments that you had no power over, it crippled you, because it all starts in your mind. It only happens when you allow it to happen. When you give up, when you run out of gas, when you run out of fuel. All over the world, I'm sent out this year to encourage people, you have to work from an internal value system. I am important to God. You see that in your head, you dream that, you think about it, but now you got to do the hard part. I got to actualize it. I'm important to God. Every day you got to get up and say, I'm important to God. And then it will focus you and make you do the things that God put us on the earth to do. I see myself as a kid empowering nations and building schools and orphanages, and I do that now. But I saw it when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I would be in the lobby of my grandfather's construction company. He kept National Geographic's magazines, and I would read them, and I would wonder why I was drawn to it. I would just go in there, out of all the magazines, car magazine, gun magazine, I always looked at National Geographic. And what I realize now is that God was kind of shaping my thoughts. He was kind of showing me the poverty in the world and that there are hurting kids. He was showing me, in Africa, there are people that's getting malaria and dying. All they need is a shot. And so in my mind as a child, I would think, well, we got to get these kids food and some shots. So I grow up in my first mission trips to Africa. I'm sitting with doctors that I brought over there, and I'm watching them inject the people, and I begin to cry in the hallway. I remember the day as a boy I heard God saying, you're going to go up and do something about this because inside of you there's a value system that I can speak vision into. And then when God speaks vision into your value system, you begin to see it before you actualize it. I'm now working on a system. I want to provide jobs for low-income boys back home in Detroit. It's the thing that fuels me every day. Every day I want to provide jobs. I now have 6 employees. I'm looking to have 60 employees. I want to keep kids off the streets. I want to, but it starts with a sense of I can do it. Not because I'm great, but because my Father is great. He has high expectation of me. He's like, Tyran, I've given you the ability to go to school and get an education just like your brother Benit. And I don't want you using it just to advance you. I want you to advance in the kingdom with your education. I teach kids how to invest in the stock market because I love the kids back home in Detroit. I want to see them do better. I want them to break the poverty mindset that has been set, again, going back to the Benit because of what they see every day. Broken glass, broke down cars stripped over here. This building should be condemned. House on the block boarded up, half, one part of the house bending over, the other half is still erect. And I want them to not let these things that they see every day make them think that they trash because they live around trash. I want to empower them and say, hey, the trash should bother you, so let's get a couple of guys together and let's clean the trash up so we can feel better. Don't get comfortable with trash and raggedy stuff around you. Wake up and see yourself empowered, and you get out there with a trash bag and you start picking up trash. Don't look at this, because if you look at this every day, it's going to shape your thoughts of who you are, and you're going to feel like, well, I live in trash. I'm poor. Nobody cares about me, and all those things are a lie from the enemy. But it starts with an internal value system. Go back to what I said earlier, and I'm almost done. You are what you think you are. One of the things I am on right now is the men of the church. Every man in this church, listen to me. There is a kid that watches you that you don't know, watches you every Sunday, and they see that you're here today, gone tomorrow, here today, gone tomorrow, here today, gone tomorrow, and you're changing their view of who you are. And you're thinking, well, I don't want to get COVID, and I got just so much going on in my life right now. But what about that boy who's watching you? If you feel valuable, then you know what? I'm about to help everybody else, and Doug going to give you $10 for this. When you feel valuable, you got to show up, because the value system inside of you says, I'm important, so I got to be at church. I can't be missing. I'm important to my church. Oh! I'm important to my church. I can't let life distract me that now I can't get to church, because I'm important to my church. My church needs me. But if you are a person that's at home right now and you have preconditions and all those things, then stay home, be safe. But if you're at home right now because you're just a lazy bum, making a bunch of excuses, you don't feel important, and that's why you're not here. And I want to talk to you today and say, bring your behind back here, but come back stronger than when you left, because the kingdom of God needs consistent people, not people distracted by the world's events. God said, I'll handle the world's events, and you just take care of the kingdom. Oh, I'm talking to Doug. Thank you. I got one with me. Y'all better come on in this place. I'm going to sit down in a minute. I'm tired of talking to pastors about people hitting and missing. We need you. If you're not important to your church, if your church is doing just fine because you ain't there, then what in the world? Why do you exist that way? My church needs me. I can't be missing church. They need me. The boys in the church need a vision of a man who's successful, who's doing well, who loves his wife and children. They need to see it. I'm here because Deacon Fred showed me what a man was about when I was 10 and didn't have a daddy. Deacon Fred became my daddy at church. Every Sunday he would take me in the hallway, just have a little conversation with me, and he kept me focused. His success came from God. He made sure I understood that. Deacon Fred was a man above men in the congregation, so I connected myself to him, and he embraced me. And here's the thing, Deacon Fred was at church every Sunday. Hard-working man, every Sunday he was at church. Wasn't always active every Sunday, but his presence was active every Sunday. So as a little boy without a dad, I would look at Deacon Fred and say, that's a man right there. I want to be like him. So I offered myself to him, and he adopted me. Before he died, I went to see him, and when he saw my face walk in the door, he started crying. He said, I'm so proud of you, Tyran. Oh, my God. I'm so proud of you. They tell me what you're doing, and I read about you. I got the article when you were in the paper in the back. I'm so proud of you. I said, you should be proud of you. You should be proud of you. Don't be proud of me, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. I'm a part of you, so every time you see me in the paper, see you. See you too. Don't see me. Every time the mayor hands me an award, see you. Don't see me. Because you deserve it. I wish every award I ever got, I can chop it in half and hand you a piece of it, because if you didn't give me a visual, I would have grew up like most kids back in the hood, just thinking like, I'm not much. I don't come from much. I don't have much. My parents don't have much. What that got to do with you? Modesty is a low view of not you, but your importance, your existence. And I'm here to say, everyone who fits that bill, let's change that. No low views of your importance, because it'll shape your activity. Low view makes you shoot low. Makes you apply for jobs that you know you're too good for. It makes you buy a house that fits in your little comfort zone. Do, 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 do. And God is like, I got so much more for you. It makes you just think about going out and making a whole lot of money to take good care of your family, when God says, how about you dream a little deeper and take care of 10 families? Because that's what God's about. He ain't about changing your life. He wants to change your life to change lives. But not if you don't feel important. I'm important to God. So therefore, everything that I get up and do every day is important. It starts with an internal value system. My mother didn't give it to me. My father wasn't there to give it to me. I got it from my father. They had a little T-shirt back in the 80s, y'all remember this, that said, God don't make no junk. As a boy, I saw that T-shirt and I said, well, since God don't make no junk, then I shouldn't be acting like junk. Don't need nobody to encourage. I love the scripture says, when he had no one to encourage him, he went and he encouraged himself. I'm important to God, so my activity is important. How I move is important. Everything I do is important, because God says, son, that's the one thing I can't do for you, son. I can't make you see yourself different. Joseph saw himself different from his brothers. David saw himself different from his brothers. My brothers borrow money from me, and I'm the youngest. Don't let my brother see this video. He's going to beat me up. I'm the youngest. But they borrowed from me. And every time the family moves, they come to me and say, Tyron, what do you think? What should I do? How should I do it? I felt that way as a boy. But my nurturing came not from my dad, but from a deacon in the church. I got to say this one more time, and I'm going to get out of here. You are way more important than you know you are. Even when you don't feel good, you who are retirees and ready to slow it down, no. We need your visuals in the house of God. And since you're going to be here, how about you take some time out? Just pick one kid and say, I'm going to adopt this kid and make sure this kid is successful in his life. And then give your life to that. Don't just sit and wait for God to just call your clock. Run your clock out. Oh, I'm here again. Fred G. Sanford here. I'm coming to join you, Elizabeth. Don't spend your life waiting to die. If you're still here, that means God has purpose for you. I don't care, you're 80, you're 70, you're 90. You still have purpose. But it comes from an internal value system. I can't wait to retire, because when I retire, all I'm going to do is teach. All I'm going to do is teach kids. Teach. Right now, I teach stock classes for the kids back in Detroit. All I'm doing as I get older is teach. I have to leave my position as pastor to be an apostle, because my calling is to teach, is to disciple, is to mentor, not to shepherd anymore. Because inside of me, I'm like, I believe through God I can do it. I don't want to leave the world the same way I came in. It's got to be a little better, because God birthed me here. Detroit got to look a little better, because he planted me in Detroit. It's got to look a little better before I go. Things got to change. Things got to get a little better. You can't change the world, but I can change a piece of it. And I want to do that. So real quick, and I'm about to get out of here. The reason I don't have a suit on today is because I got to catch a flight and go out of here. Because you guys know I don't dress like this on a Sunday morning, but y'all family, shut up. So pastor, end with this. How do I increase my internal value? That's a good question. I'm going to give you some pointers. One is, some of us need to go back to school. Stop thinking about it and be about it. Some of us need to work out, because when you work out, you feel better, you look better, and you'll start having a better self-image. Somebody say amen. Watch less TV. I don't watch TV. My wife makes me watch 2 shows with her. That's it. I watch 2 shows. I ain't going to tell y'all what it is, because y'all be like, Pastor watching this show? I watch 2 shows every week. When I come home, I spend time with my wife. I talk to my son. I make sure he's good, make sure my wife's good, and I go in my back and I'm either studying, praying, or working because I'm important. Y'all with me? Yeah. Cut off the TV. You got too much TV. Nobody should be watching 10, 12 hours of TV. You got purpose. Set goals and then achieve them. Start small and then go up from there. Make the goals bigger. It's going to increase your value system. When you accomplish a small goal, then your goal gets bigger, then your goal gets bigger, and then it gets bigger. It's just how it works. You got to be faithful over small things to be Lord over much more. That's the scriptures, right? Change your circle. Some of you aren't doing more because your circle is simple. They don't want to do nothing, so every day everybody just get up and talk about living. Now, I'm not saying get rid of your friends. I'm just saying expand your circle. Hang out with some people who are kingdom-minded, who are trying to do things, people who speak vision out of their mouth, just like Joseph. I had a dream. You should have dreamers around you because it's infectious. The last thing is get a mentor. For all of us who struggle to change, you got to get a mentor. You got to butt yourself up next to somebody and let them disciple you. Let them bang on you. Let them tell you you need to do better. Stop that. Why are you doing that? Be okay with that. The one knock that I have to millennials is they're not good at correction. They're not good at when you come in for them, it breaks them all the way down. They don't see correction as trying to make you better. They see correction as you saying I'm nothing. Remember, no one can say that you're nothing, and then you can look back 10 years and say, well, I'm nothing because he said I was nothing. God's not accepting that. I don't care what nobody has told you. Teacher, mother, father, you're never going to do nothing. You're just stupid. I hate the day you were born. I don't care what you've heard. It only means something when it starts to alter your vision of yourself. It's not true unless you make it true. We are important to God. Because we're important to God, we should be important to community. We should be important to kingdom. Let's just start small. We should be important to our church. Be faithful here every Sunday, driving. Not because I'm a pastor, because that's what faithful people do. They don't let life knock them off. They get up, they keep going. They get up, they keep going. They get knocked down, they get up, they keep going. It's important that I be here. Somebody might need me. Something might happen, and I might be the only guy that can get in there. You got to feel that way because that's the thing that will drive you on the times where you don't feel it. Then the love of your community is the thing that will make you get up and say, I got to get there. I got to be there. Man, when I had the stroke and it shut me down, man, I was just at home fiending to get back into the house. Not to pick up the pen and the pulpit again. I want to get back in the house and just make sure everybody was good. I wanted to make sure everybody had what they needed. You know, for weeks I couldn't preach because my jaw was stuck because of the stroke. And I didn't care about that. I said I can still be effective even though my mouth don't work. Y'all missed that? So what, your mouth don't work? Who was that in the Bible? I think it was John's father. The Bible said God took his voice away for a season of time, but he was a priest. He still had work. You hear me? Well, what good is a priest who don't have a voice? It depends on the priest. I'm going to leave you with that. God bless y'all.
Thank you for watching today's message. If you'd like to know more about today's message or the ministry here at Living Word Fellowship in Knoxville, Iowa, please call 641-828-7119 or visit us online at lwfknoxville.com. If you are in the Knoxville, Iowa area, please stop by and see us on Sundays at 10 a.m. or Wednesdays at 7 p.m. at 321 East Robinson, where there's always something for everyone.